It's one of the most expensive bikes Giant have ever made, stacked with technology, with a mindset for speed, and so limited that only 500 will ever be made. But it does come at a price of $15,000. Giant's incredibly rare and very advanced Trance E Plus Limited. The shape and purpose of this bike shouts super progressive trail bike. Powerful new motor, long range battery, a real depth of knowledge that's gone into that suspension design. It's laced with state-of-the-art technologies all over it, and of course it's got a lightweight, durable composite frame set. I think if you're after something really special, then the Trance Advanced E Plus Limited could well be the bike. I mean, this is, as I mentioned, a limited edition run. This is actually frame 000 of 507. But look, limited edition and state-of-the-art technologies aside, it's got to be the right type of bike for you in the first place, right? So what have we got? Well, 140, 150mm travel, 29-inch wheels, that lightweight long-range frame. Now, the Trance actually sits in between the Giant Stance at 120mm travel and the Rain at 170mm travel. Now, I rode the Rain at a super tough world level event a few years ago, and as much as it's great to have the armchair ride, I think that 140 will be the sweet spot for so many riders. Of course, the more you pay for a carbon eMTB frame, you'd expect there to be a higher grade carbon fibre. Now, I don't actually know what mix of cloth and super sticky carbon sheets is in this frame, but what I do know is that the layup should be such that it gives you a tight but compliant ride. I'll come on to that a little bit later. Linking the one-piece front triangle and rear swinging arm is the Maestro suspension. Great understanding here by Giant engineers on just what makes an eMTB tick. The 4 pivots and 2 linkages create a single floating pivot in one of the most well-acknowledged suspension kinematic systems on the planet. The forks and shock are Kashima, all top-grade stuff, active and plush. Very simple words, I know, but like I said, accomplishing this requires experience. And plenty of it. So if you're asking, which you should be of course, just why the high price tag, then frame material, construction and quite possibly the finish will contribute to that. Plus of course it is a limited edition, which we'll come on to in a minute. The handlebar mounted remote, the top tube display, the battery and the motor on this bike are incredibly in sync. I guess you'd expect it to be on an e-bike, right? But seriously, the Sync Drive Pro motor, developed in collaboration with Yamaha, is actually the most powerful in the Giant range. Now, I've been lucky enough to have ridden this bike and this motor in a lot of places, and it has got me out of some incredibly sticky situations. So I think what I'm saying is the fact that the mechanical, the human and the electrical are very much in harmony on this bike. And part of the reason for that is the Smart Assist sensors, which measure the power being applied to the pedals, so you do get just the right amount of support. The software at work here is the very clever bit. It also means you don't over or underuse the power available. Okay guys, range. Well, that depends on rider weight, elevation, tyre and tyre pressure of course, but with the 800 watt-hour energy pack battery and the option of having a 250 watt-hour range extender, Giant reckon on between 70 and 250 kilometers on the Trance Advanced E. That is a serious amount of range on an e-bike. And the reason for that range is a mixture of the lightweight and low density of the battery is said to lead to lower battery temperatures and better discharge capability of this bike. Okay, front of house, we've got Giant's proprietary carbon bar and stem here, the Contact SLR. You can adjust it 40, 45 or 50 mil. In terms of technology, it is loaded up front here. You've got the Ride Ergo remote, which is super dinky, controls the modes. You've got axis dropper, you've got the axis shifter there. The live valve on this bike is super advanced electronically controlled suspension system. It features sensors that automatically adjust the fork and shock independently in milliseconds as the terrain changes. Multiple suspension modes can be changed on the hoof or within the app. Remember, we rode the Trance X Advanced E+0 in the south of France. That too came with live valve. Yet it does not have the electronic gear shifting, the custom frame and ludicrously expensive but sublimely compliant £875 zip wheel set that we have on the limited bike. Okay, it's stick time, folks, which means it is geometry time. But before we go into that, I want to point out one feature which I didn't talk about the Contact SLR combined bar and stem, and the fact that it actually narrows near the stem, which leads to what Giant says is better compliance, which in other words means a less harsh ride out on the trail. Okay, while the rain comes in, geometry numbers, we've got a 76-degree seat tube angle, 66.5-degree head tube angle, and get this, a 473mm chainstay. What does that mean? Well, it tells you that it's definitely a climber. It's a good all-round bike, and combined with a 571mm front center, there's a good balance to the bike. But more than this, you can actually adjust the geometry via a flip chip. So what that does, it gives the ability to change the head tube angle, the seat tube angle, and of course the bottom bracket height. Whoa! Oh my God. I love how this bike rides, which is partly due to the geometry, but also how it feels, and that comes down to what I mentioned earlier about the carbon layup on this bike. But what adds to that is the component parts. So we've got three zero motor rims, carbon rims, and the zip hubs. So that adds to the compliance of the bike as a whole, obviously with the suspension system. I think this bike is loaded with fantastic features, which I've not even mentioned yet, such as the electronic drivetrain. You've got two 20mm disc up front, you've got good Maxxis tyres, got Praxis cranks. I think it's the whole package is a very, very delicious package to ride when you're out on the trail. So what I can say to you guys is get down to your Giant dealer, go and try a stance, go and try a rein, but whatever you do, don't miss the opportunity to ride a Trance Advanced E+. It is outstanding. Woo! Whoa, let's just shelter from the storm a second. Folks, like I said, I guess I was a ride on the Trance Advanced E+. Remember, this is not any old Trance Advanced E+. This is the limited edition version. So there's 507 of these bikes out there in the world somewhere. So get out there and get your paws on one. One thing which we're going to cover in the next video is the whole business about the Fox Live Valve. It is so detailed, there's some fantastic features on it, and it is truly worthy of a video all by itself. So join us next time where I take a deep dive into the suspension on this fantastic bike.